caught up with Governor Lee this week to get his views on choice lanes, tornado recovery, and a state audit that found Tennessee prisons are severely understaffed with a vacancy rate of 61%, leading to unsafe conditions for both inmates and guards. The audit found a vacancy rate was 30% for state-run facilities and, alarmingly, 42% at the for-profit core civic facilities, which the state contracts to house over a third of Tennessee's 19,000 inmates.
I haven't read the report yet. Of course, there's an arrangement and an agreement that Core Civic has with the state, an accountability agreement. We certainly will be looking at how they are, meeting up to that accountability agreement, but I haven't read the report yet.
You have taken, your administration has focused on trying to hire more correctional officers to help improve staffing. I know you haven't had a chance to look through all the report, but do you have any concerns that upping the pay has actually helped, address staffing in the prisons?
We saw an immediate uptick as a result of our increase in pay for correctional officers. We raised pay for correctional officers, if I'm not mistaken, about 30% a year or so ago. What really happened is it dramatically lowered the turnover rate of correctional officers within state prisons. Those, of course, were not the prisons that were run by Core Civic, but what happens in the state prisons oftentimes is reflective in the Core Civic prison. We do know that their staffing turnovers improved as well once we raised our pay levels at the state, because their levels went up as well. So I don't know the statistics that they have. I know it had a very positive effect on the state turnover rate. We'll see how it played out at Core Civic. I think we're not done with the budget yet, so it's hard to comment on what the top priorities will be. We really are not finished. We will be finishing in the next few weeks and make that available. We will continue to invest in education. We began a large increase in education investment a couple of years ago, and we will continue that. We'll continue to invest in public safety. We'll continue to invest in the expansion of our infrastructure, including not only the roads that we've invested in today, but continued expansion of broadband. So there'll be a continuation of investment of the core services that we believe Tennesseans look to us to be most responsible for. I think what we know will happen, or what we suspect will happen, because of the special session and the activity around it. As you know, there are a lot of pieces of legislation that didn't get acted on, didn't get taken up, but there was a great deal of interest in acting and taking up those pieces, just not in that summer session. And I think we'll see them. I think we'll see many of those come back and be acted upon. I don't know the particulars of which ones will be, but I think we're going to see those. I hope that we will continue to look at public safety measures of all kinds, and many of those we saw in the special session, I expect we'll see them again. We want to make sure that people in Tennessee can move from one end of the state to the other without congestion, so we can expand our highway system without raising taxes, without going into debt. And the way to do that is to give Tennesseans a choice through choice lanes. So we're very encouraged by the bipartisan support for that and the rollout in part of the plan for that this week.
Is that including, does that include toll lanes?
They're choice lanes. So a toll lane typically is identified as one where everyone who gets into that road pays a toll. Yes, those lanes will require a fee, but those lanes will also be a choice of the driver, only if they want to get in that lane. Those types of arrangements have found to be significantly effective across the country in moving traffic, in relieving congestion, in allowing for commerce to move through cities. So we plan to implement choice lanes in multiple places across the state, and that's a part of the Transportation Modernization Act. there is a lot of work to be done. There was a lot of damage. A lot of families' lives were severely impacted negatively. We immediately requested a disaster declaration. The federal government immediately responded with that declaration. That was a great partnership. We are working with FEMA. TEMA is on the ground, partner agencies. Well, most importantly, the people of this community and of the other communities in Tennessee that were affected. We saw churches, we saw nonprofits, we saw individual families coming out to serve meals, serve their neighbors. It's been heartwarming to see Tennesseans do what Tennesseans do. And I think this community will recover as a result of it. In the meanwhile, there is much tragedy and much heartache and much work yet to be done.
Stay with us. This Week continues in a moment.